And then just staying along this line on the design traits that every email should have to improve click-through rates is going off what I was saying before. First off, that images do get blocked. But going back to Lauren's interesting stat, where if looking at read rates, if you think about it, in the US, ultimately 40% of people are looking at an email less than 7 seconds or less. Okay, think about that for a second. So it's so important to have a strong headline with a unique value proposition right at the top of that email. Don't make people think, don't make them work at wondering why they should care about this email. So having a strong headline with unique value proposition at the top of the email is so important. Also, clickable elements should be above the fold. Once again, you only have seconds really, so don't make people dig around. How often have you received an email where you literally have to read the whole email before there's any way to click to take action? Okay, doesn't mean you can't have long text emails that are valuable as long as it's good content, but have places throughout the email where somebody, if they're good, if they're ready to go, let them take action. Don't make them work. Okay. Another thing, and I don't know when this trend happens, but we have been trained since the days of Prodigy and AOL that if something is blue and underlined, it's clickable. Okay? Don't try to change that trend. Over the past few years, I've seen a lot of designers make it orange, remove the underline, things like that. Time and time again, when those things are tested, blue and underlined always wins. If you have a text link, make it blue and underlined. That is universal across the world. We all know what that means. Don't fight the trend, embrace the trend. Also, another thing, and I still see this to this day, is use what's called bulletproof buttons. I still see that buttons are used that are images. Well, once again, if your image gets blocked, people can't see it. And it's a very simple snippet of code. I encourage anybody, go on Google and just do a search for bulletproof button. And it's very simple HTML code. And always make sure that button is at least 44 by 44 pixels. There's been a lot of studies around that. And that's really taking into account mobile devices and a person's thumb. And that seems to be the optimal, at least that size seems to be the optimal use on mobile devices for people to click. And then the last point in regards to design is always remember to design for simplicity. Okay. A lot of times people get a little over the top with their designs. And the reality is the more complicated your design is, the more chances it is for something to break. The more complicated your design is, the more chances you have to confuse the reader and not get that click through. So now it doesn't mean don't be creative. You can be very creative with one column and 4 rows. But when you do that design, really think about what your goal is, why people care, why they should click through, and making sure that your design isn't watering any of that down.